Can we try again? So let me speak non-stop for a minute or two to see if it works. I really think that to begin the day of mindfulness with a chant from the monastics is a wonderful dose of relaxation and calmness. Don't you feel? Yeah. And so I look at the Brown family. I feel very proud. Actually, we have a very packed schedule every day, and up for the day of mindfulness, everybody will go up here to be primed and shined, and offer our present, our practice to our lay friends who come to participate in a day of mindfulness with us. It's very natural for me to feel very proud of my siblings, my brothers and sisters. They are my source of aspiration. And I look at them, I see Thay, because they reminded me of Thay, of why we choose this path. I have a little story I would like to share with you about Thay. I think in the year 2011 or 2012, when Thay had the Japan tour. And before the Japan tour, he had the Taiwan tour. But actually that year there was a big tsunami in Japan, so they canceled the tour. And turned out it is a blessing for us to have Thay in Hong Kong for 2 weeks because of the cancellation of the Japan tour. So he spent time with us. And so one day he said that he liked to go to the beach. And Thay, he's really enjoyed nature and enjoyed the landscape of the country that he visited. So I drove him to the beach. And that beach, we call it Shui Khao. It means that you park the car and then you have to descend it. You have to descend to the beach. And it's a few hundred steps. We went down and we really enjoy being with Thay and being in nature. So around midday we have to go home and have our lunch. So we descended up to where we park our car. And it's a midday, so it's very hot and very humid. I think it's around 30 something. It's very hot. So and then I thought of the car. It will be like oven, By the time we get to the car, it would be like an oven. So I thought of going up, open all the doors so that the car can cool down. And by the time Thay got up there, it will be much cooler for him to sit. So my footstep is a little bit hurry. And because Thay walked ahead of the whole group, he descended up and I was behind. So he heard my hurry footsteps. But he kept maintaining his footstep. And by the time I got near him, he stopped and he turned around and he spread out his 2 arms, stopped me from going. From the look on Thay's face, I can really tell that I should not pass him. I should follow him and not go ahead of him. The message is very clear. And so I have no other means to pass because the path is quite narrow. So I have to follow. And as you know, I was sweating and I follow him. And as you know, some of us, we know Thay, his style of walking, especially like climbing or walking a long distance, he would walk moderately slow. I think it's a bit challenge for him to go up that stairs that day, because he went slower than normal, slow of his way of walking, and many times he have to stop. And this is a lesson I learned from Thay, that no matter what, I should not forget myself. And he actually said it verbally. He said that it doesn't matter you do the work for the Sangha or you do the work for Thay, your practice have to come first. Do not forget yourself. And sometimes, you have to learn in a hard way so that I can. I think personally for me, sometimes I have to learn in a very strong way so that I remember. It's just like driving, especially in California. Every time I got a ticket, it sounds like many times, huh? Every time I got a ticket, it's a few hundred US dollars. And so when you got a ticket, you would not like to receive it again. So it really, really made you remember. And I got a few tickets when I was in California. And so it really, really helped me to remember. And so that day when Thay stopped me from going, it's the image is somehow it's imprinted in my mind. That this is something he really wanted me to learn, that I should not forget myself. And so today I'd like to invite everybody to explore a little bit a concept in physics we call inertia. You know this? I think we all learned this in high school. Huh? Yeah? Maybe we forget. So now today we can review. This poem needs the name of the author. Tasha is lacking the name. So it's okay. It's okay. I will say it later. So in Chinese, we would call it Guang Xing. In Vietnamese, we call it Quang Tinh. Huh? This is a concept from physics. From physics, it describes the tendency of an object resist to change in its motion. Is that correct? Yeah? So let's listen to the first law of motion of Newton. So we go back to high school. This law, often called the law of inertia, it states that an object at rest will stay at rest, and an object in motion will stay in motion at a constant velocity unless acted upon by an external force. What can we think of this inertia in our daily life? So for example, you are driving to New Hamlet this morning. Yeah, we are all in the car except New Hamlet. And at the stop sign, we have to stop, right? But if the driver is a little bit excited about day of mindfulness, so she or he drove a little bit fast. So when there's a stop sign, he or she needs to stop the car. And then she brake the car. And if it's a little bit if it's the speed of 70 or 80, you feel like your body is leaning, lurking towards. Is that right? Because the car was in motion, and it liked to be in that motion, but it have to stop, right? So let's observe more of this law in our daily life. What else can we think of in terms of inertia? So after this Dharma talk, we go outside and we meet friends, or we meet brother, sister from other Hamlet, and we are talking about Christmas, about New Year, and then we hear the bell. And what happened? Do we all stop and go to the walking meditation? Not quite so. The inertia is that we continue to talk, because maybe the conversation is very interesting, or because it's too early, nobody there. Let's keep talking, So this is the inertia, because we are talking and we like to continue talking. So the sound of the bell not help us to stop, because it's not loud enough, or it's not inviting enough for us to stop. What else can we think of inertia? Like when we are working, we have some time we call mindful service, and we put on our clothes to work, and we work for like 2 hours. We really enjoy our work, especially in the happy farm, in the greenhouse. In winter, the greenhouse is very warm, so many people enjoy working in the greenhouse. And we know that we should stop sometime before dinner, so that we can have dinner. But the inertia is keep working. We work past dinner time. And many other examples that we can think of. Another one is eating. Eating and thinking. Even though we have lunch, today we will have formal lunch and we will eat in silence. But the inertia is that we are eating, we are chewing, and we are thinking. The silence helps us to go back, to get in touch with the food that we are eating, the texture of the food, the flavor of the food, the presence of the Sangha. So the silence helps us to hear the talking in our head, so that we can let go of that talking, of the thinking, and so that we can really fully enjoy our lunch, or our dinner, or breakfast. Now we talk about inertia of habits. The inertia of habits is a metaphorical application of the physical principle of inertia. Just like physical objects resist change to their states of motion. Habits are behaviors that have become ingrained, that they resist change. And we all have this. We all form certain habits and different habits throughout our lives. That's a good sign. There's a good thing about a habit, because once we form a habit, our brain will form a neural pathway, so that behavior become automatic. These habits become automatic. So it will save our time, our mental energy. It will save our mental energy in our daily task, without using a lot of our conscious effort to do this, to perform these tasks. But once it becomes neural pathway, the downside of it is it's very difficult to alter. Yeah? And many times a day we observe ourselves and we see that we are in autopilot mode because we have this the inertia of habit. We have this habit, we learn these things and we know how to do these things. So it freed our mental space, and then we can think, we can do all the things, we can plan and we do all the things. What can you think of a habit that we all commonly seen and observe? Today, when I'm in the hall, I observe that today it's quite, really, the Sangha is quite punctual. Majority of the Sangha are in the hall, yeah, before I begin. But when we observe in our daily life, punctuality is something that we observe when we sin. It happens very, very regularly, yeah. This is a habit, I have to say, I think especially for those of us who work outside, we have profession, we have job, we have a career, and we're really well trained, in terms of punctuality, because we really need to respect the place we work, the colleagues we are working with. But in the Sangha, somehow we think that, I get there, nobody will be there. So I give myself a little bit time. And when I give myself a little bit time, I'm carried away by other things. Especially when I'm doing something. And I think that, I need just 5 more minutes. But actually, by the time I remember, it's already 10 minutes. And I'm late. And this habit, it's kind of ingrained, because it's every day. I know the schedule, I know the activities, and so I allow myself to relax. Yeah? And so I'm not really on time, many times. But the good thing is, we have new novices. When they come in, they renew my practice because they're very on time. And so when living together, we have new members. It really helps us to really see that we really interact. Because whatever my behaviors that they observe, I hope that they don't copy. But because we live together, and so somehow we influence each other. And this is something that it's very simple, but it's really, once it becomes a habit, it takes a lot of effort to undo and to change this habit. But in the Sangha, we also see that we have senior members, we have new members, and many are practicing punctuality. So they are really a source of inspiration for me to kind of change this habit. And as you see, changing this habit, even the small habit, but it takes a lot of time and effort, conscious effort, to change this habit. And this inertia of habit carry us away from our physical state and our mental state, about the mental state of our mind. In Vietnamese, we have a word, trôi lăn. Yeah. In Chinese, theo liu. Is that correct? Not understand. Trôi lăn, it means that drifting, floating, wandering without aims. without a fixed direction or purpose. And I think this is something that we all experience. We drift away, and then there's something happens, the sound of the bell happens to come back, and then we drift away again. And then the walking meditation happens to come back. So there's many, many times during the day that we drift away from our physical body. And that's how we don't remember being on time, being there for the Sangha. Deeply ingrained in us is the habit of drifting, floating. And in Buddhism, we talk about the six senses. The Buddha said the six senses are like the bandits, the robbers. They take us away from our physical and from our mental state of mind. So during the day, our senses can carry us away. What we hear, what we see, what we smell, what we taste, what we touch. These constantly bring in the impression and the information into the internal world. And it's very difficult for us to come back, to be in our body, to get in touch with the breathing, with the footstep. And so when we come here, we have these practices of stopping, the samatha, stopping. Samatha in Pali, that means that tranquility or serenity. When we come into this hall this morning, we all stop the normal things that we would do so that we can fully be present when the Sangha, when the monastic chant, or when we do the sitting meditation this morning. Sitting meditation this morning, it's that we sit and enjoy the time of sitting without doing anything. When we are very new, and when we are not so new, the practice of sitting and walking are very, very basic practices that help us to come back, to guard our senses. Because when we do sitting or when we do walking, we only do one thing at a time. We don't do many things. So it's really, really helps us to come back to our senses and aware of our senses. And this effort of stopping, of arriving, this is something that we are born with, but this is something we need to train ourselves. Because we all have this inertia in us. And so coming back to the physical body, it will really, really help us to be in touch with our mind. And the habit of drifting, of floating, doesn't matter how old we are. We really, really need to to conscious make the effort to be aware of this inertia, of this habit of drifting. And so that's how the daily practices. For you to come for 1 week, you have this experience of coming back constantly. We are reminded to come back to ourselves because we have these daily, very basic practices to help us to come back and to be in our body and to be with our mind. So without the basic practices of sitting and walking, we are drifting in and out, in and out. In the meditation this morning, when we practice sitting, is for us to stop our habit of running, of thinking, of planning, so that we can enjoy the moment, enjoy the present, enjoy the day. For me, knowing that there's only 2 weeks left for this year, so I really do work of reflection for this year, how it has been going, how it has impact on me, or what kind of impact I have on others. And that kind of looking deeply, because the first function of meditation is just stopping, arriving, and then when you are able to stop and to arrive, then very naturally we can really observe and we can really look deeply. Many friends, when they come, they share that the daily meditation is something that they cannot miss. Because at work, daily, they are scolded, they are giving deadline, they have pressure, they have there's many kind of work that they have deadline, they have pressure. That once they finish one, they will have more. So constantly, there will never be a break for them. Constantly, they've been given more and more assignment and more work. And they are constantly stressed. And as you look, when we have retreat, many people, when they come, they look so tired, so exhausted. And so many friends share that the daily meditation is something that they cannot miss. Because if they don't do the daily meditation, they think they will go insane. Because the pressure, the stress that they have to endure every day. And the supervisor, the boss, they can speak very, very negatively. And they say that at night it's very difficult to sleep. Because, all the negative speech that they have to hear. And then when I said, do you do the meditation to help you to calm down? They say, I have to. There's no other way around. Morning, I don't have a lot of time, 10, 15 minutes, but evening I have to. And so many of them say that, we have to let go of the habit of, scrolling the phone on our bed. Because it's so exhausting. It's not resting the mind at all. And plus, the workload of the day, the pressure of the day. And they will not know tomorrow what kind of work, what kind of assignment that they will have to complete. So it's so training for them. And one of them recently, they have a retreat, 5 days retreat. They say going to the retreat is like going to a Buddhist spa. You ever heard that? You go to the spa before? You go to the spa, you dip yourself into hot water, right? And you relax your whole body. And so for that person saying that going to the 5-day retreat is like going to a Buddhist spa. She felt deeply relaxed and deeply feeling rewarded. Kind of like she rewarded herself to have this treat, to kind of like temporarily for 5 days disconnect herself from the work. So she didn't hear all kinds of complaints and negative speeches. And in that 5 days, she learns to renew herself, to refresh herself, and rejuvenate herself. And just like 2 days later, after back to work, already she's back to the normal state. The freshness gone, because the pressure of the work is so high. And so for them, the daily meditation is something that they have to. So like in that, many friends say that they have to sit and calm their mind, enjoy the preciousness of the quietness of their mind before they begin the new day. And they learn to contemplate the behavior of their colleagues, their co-workers, of their boss, of the working environment, the assignment, the deadline. They have to contemplate all of this and know the level of their energy and their intention and their integrity in order to finish the job. And as you know, this is the end of the year. And so the workload and the pressure is even greater than the normal. So for me, this morning, just remember these friends who come here to practice with us and share with us their daily life. I sit and I think of them and realize how precious it is that I have this opportunity every day to sit, to quiet myself, and to observe my habits of running, of delaying, of postponing. Thay used a very strong image to teach us. "15 minutes? Not yet? Okay." He used the image of a tiger and a lotus stem. Yeah? When we break a lotus stalk, there's some kind of stem. It's like silky, very, very, very thin, very, very soft. He said that throwing a lotus thread to bite a fixed tiger. Maybe I write it down. Can you read? Yeah. So in Vietnamese we call it liền sợi tơ sen, trói mãnh hổ. So our habits are like the fixed tiger. I learned not to underestimate my habits, because this is a really, really a powerful force of energy. So in this image, you see the image, something that is very fixed, very strong, very powerful, in very contrast to another image of the lotus stem. Yeah, something is very silky and very soft. You can spread it, and it can, and then at some point it will break. Yeah. So using something that is very contrast to help us to practice using something that is simple, gentle, and daily, which is mindfulness, to observe our habits and to change our habits. Because the habit of drifting, of floating, of wandering is deeply ingrained in us. Not only this lifetime, but many, many lifetimes. And just like an object, it resists to change in its state motion. We also resist to change when we form these habits. And so the habit of not coming home, not being able to dwell in the moment is deeply ingrained in us. And there must be some kinds of tools to help us to encounter these habits. The daily walking meditation help us to arrive and to empty many preconceived ideas, concepts and notions, feelings. When we walk every day, it seems like the same thing we do every day, So sometimes we lose the touch of the practice, and so we may walk, but there's not really arriving. And sometimes people ask Thay, do you have any fear? He say, yes, I do. And he say his fear is that we practice with just the outer form, without any substance. And many times I find my habit of drifting, of floating, carry me away from my footstep. But luckily, in the Sangha, we have this training that we train ourselves every day. So until it becomes a good habit, that every day we walk with the Sangha. And so when we forget, the Sangha will remind us to come back to ourselves. And so for me, when I walk, when I have a perception arise, when we have a feelings arise, I recognize this is a perception. And so I can let go of this perception and come back to the moment. And not let my perception carry me away. Because perception, what the Buddha defines perception? Perception is just, idea are just a habit of memory. We have so memories. And so when we walk with this storage of memories. And perception is just the result of recalling things that are happening in the past. In us, we have a storage of things. Images, sound, story, trauma, stories, life experiences, so many things that we store. And when we walk, it's so easy to walk with these stories. And these stories carry us away. And we lose touch with each footstep. But that's how I really see the training, that we do it every day until it becomes a new good habit. The perception actually is something that we all experience in our daily life. To hear a sound of a person, to see something, to hear news, to encounter somebody, it's so easy for perception to arise. And without mindfulness, the perception can carry us away so easily. Um, in our brain, we store so many experiences and incidents and mistakes, trauma, many other things. So when a perception arrives, our brain will use the memories of the past in order to evaluate, to process the situation or the information that's happening right now in front of us. And usually we will compare. Yeah? That's how ideas are just a habit of memories. And when we walk every day, or not even walking, when we cook, when we clean, when we sweep, when we walk in the garden, these stories carry us away from our physical body, and we are drifting, and we are floating. It's very, very difficult for us to turn this habit of, to alter the habit of drifting. It's drifting every day. And so for me, the walking meditation is something that I really, really enjoy. Because I walk every day, I can empty my perception or my thinking or my ideas. Because it's a training. So every day we walk and I'm getting in touch with my footstep, with the softness of the ground, the wetness of the grass. These elements and the cold air of the winter, it's really, really helped me to come back to myself and see that the habit of floating, the habit of drifting, it may be for 10 seconds or 1 minute, and I will float again. But then this is really the effort that I come back, keep coming back. And that's how when a perception arrives, it still arrives. There's no way we stop perception from arriving. But when it arrives, we can recognize right away, this is a perception. And I allow myself time to check. Recognizing perception is already a very big step to help us to liberate ourselves. Because perception, once we have the perception, it can really, really influence the way we speak and the way we act. Nowadays, many people, we use chatbot, chatbot, the AI. Many people talk for hours with this chatbot every day. Because the loneliness, the depression, the pressure, the difficulties. When you work in an environment that is so competitive, that is very negative also at the same time. Like these friends, they share, every day they hear negative speech and they hear scolding, that they make them feel that they're not good enough. Doesn't matter how much effort they put into the work, they feel that they are not good enough. They are like crappy people, They don't know how to finish their work. And the pressure is building up every day. And so, to some, it's very easy to resort to AI. You put in a question, and the way they design it, in a way that it's certainly always it's ready, it's always available for you. And one question after they answer the question is, do you have anything else you want to continue to discuss? I'm here for you. And so easily we can spend hours on this chatbot. And depend on what we put in, they will give us the answer. And some can come out with very tragic result. And as we can really see, when we are not able to come home to ourselves, we will rely on something else, what we call artificial intelligence. Yeah? In this Dharma talk, this is beyond the scope of this Dharma talk, so we will not go talk about this. But I really see, because sometimes, I think that if artificial intelligence is a really great tool to save a lot of our time. Like for example, if I like to translate this poem, I put it in, instantly I have the translation. It saves a lot of time. But of course it needs some touch. Yeah? And people increasingly using AI. I like this poem because it touched something very, very deep, but also very, very beautiful in each one of us. It is written by a Taiwanese poet, a very young person. Yeah. He wrote this when he celebrated his birthday. And he see his birthday is his mother's difficult day. Because when she gave birth to him, she bleeded a lot. And it's very, very dangerous for her mother to give birth. And so this poem is kind of honors all mothers who give birth every day. So let's go through this poem. This is, I have a translation from AI, but then when I asked Tasha to help me to translate, I find out it's much more beautiful than AI. Human with our senses, with our feelings, we can turn something into some poem, into something beautiful and very inspiring. And so, all throughout my life, twice, most uncontrollably, did I cry. Once when my life began, the other when yours ended. The first time I could not remember, but hear from you. The second, you wouldn't know even if I told you. Yet between these two cries, long our laughter kept ringing. Again, again and again. Ringing for fully 30 years. This surely you did know, and surely I cannot forget. So basically this poem he wrote when he celebrated his birthday, and I think this is looking deeply. That day he looked at the event of his birthday and realized how difficult it was for his mother to give birth to him. And then he's very young, he's only 30 years old. It's in the poem, for 30 years. The two times that he cried, a lot. That's the first time when he began his life. When his mother gave birth to him, that's the first time that he cried. And the second time, when his mother passed away. That's how he said, the second, you wouldn't know even if I told you. That when his mother passed away, he cried like the first time he cried. But between these two cries, there is endless laughter. There's a lot of joy, there's a lot of happiness in these 30 years that is echoed again and again in 30 years, for 30 years. And I really see when we are able to come back to ourselves and not the habit of drifting, of floating, carry us away, we can realize something that is so beautiful, so meaningful in our lives. It's always available for us. Maybe I can read it in Vietnamese one time because some of us, we don't wear the translation, the headphone, so that you can hear the poem. Yeah. Đời này, kiếp này, tiếng khóc đau thương nhất của con có 2 lần. Một lần vào lúc con được sinh ra, một lần vào cuối cuộc đời của mẹ. Lần đầu tiên con không nhớ, con nghe mẹ nói điều đó. Mẹ sẽ không biết lần thứ 2, chẳng có ích gì ngay cả khi con nói điều đó. Nhưng giữa 2 lần khóc có vô số tiếng cười. Hết lần này đến lần khác, vang vọng suốt 30 năm. Mẹ biết đấy, con nhớ tất cả. Many of us, we have Many of us, we have a lot of difficulties with our parents, with our ancestors. We cannot reconcile with them. But I do hope that even though your stay is very short, 1 week, 2 weeks, or 3 months, you have this opportunity to look deeply, to stop drifting, to stop floating. So there's a moment of clarity that we can look and we can really see the struggle our parents, our ancestors, they have to endure in order to provide us what we need for this life. They try their best. Of course, we have mistreatment, we have trauma, we have abuse. But we really, really hope that we are, but I also see that we are luckier than our parents because we encounter the Dharma. We learn the practice so that we can come back to ourselves and not be carried away by our history, by our stories of the past, and stop us from living this present moment. I find as for a young person like this poet, I think he have a very happy childhood, which is he's very lucky. Many of us may not have that happy childhood, but knowing that we have this life, we have this opportunity, we can make the difference for our lives and the lives of our parents. This is a very, very beautiful poem. I like it a lot when I first read it, and I thought of sharing it with you. I watched one of the the TED Talk, What Makes Us Human in the Age of AI. As a monastic, we also need to learn. There's a lot of things for us to learn because the society, the technology advance so fast that we have so many challenges and new things that to learn. And as monastic, we also need to learn. And I learn very slow, but I'm learning every day. So when I watched this video TED Talk, what makes us human in the age of AI, because they talk about a lot about how people spend time on, with artificial intelligence and resource to it whenever they have difficulties or whenever they feel stuck or whenever they feel that they need to answer, they would go to AI and look for the answer. And so it's happened between a psychologist, a social psychologist, Brian Lowery, and AI technologist, Kylan Gibbs. They have a kind of a dialogue, talk about, because they are in that field, and they deal with people who are using AI, and they say that the more you use AI, the more they feel it's less real and less authentic, because it's all generated knowledge. It's very different when you talk to somebody in front of you, your family members, your friends. And so they talk about two things in that video. They talk about the need for meaning, because what makes us human in the age of AI. So the first thing they talk about is the need for meaning. So what do you think of meaning? What is meaning? What is the need for meaning as a human? There is a need for connection. Yeah? And like I say, because of this inertia of drifting, of floating, we are not able to connect to ourselves. And therefore, we look for connection with others. And technology helps us to do that. We can have millions of people follow us, but we're not able to go back to ourselves. In the past, when we have retreat in China, and many people ask, many friends ask me, do you have social media? You have any social media so we can follow you and listen to sort of kind of sharing or whatever? And I look at them, I say, don't follow me. Follow you. Don't follow me. Because I don't have any social media. So of course there is the need for us to connect. The needs for purpose. Sometimes we cannot find that purpose in our life. So connect to others, we find that purpose. Just like myself. When I ordained, I have no purpose. I just think of living a simple life, like a hermit. I didn't think of helping others or anything. But because we live together, my siblings inspire me. Like I said at the beginning, I'm very, very proud of them because they inspire me of their innovation, of their inspiration, of their aspiration, and of their service, selfless service. What else can we think of as the need as a human, for the needs of human? Meaning, spirituality. Funny thing is, whatever question you put in for AI, especially about your well-being, the always question, the always answer you can find is what? Mindfulness and meditation. Many questions when you put in, the answer is mindfulness, meditation. And so what is mindfulness? Slow, deep breathing, relaxation. And what is meditation? Awareness of body, awareness of mind. For the body, what do we need? Exercise, regular sleep, balanced diet. And for the mind, what do you need? So I give this homework to you. I think when you come here for 1 week today, without talking to AI, you find all the answer. First, you have a dose of relaxation. Then you have collective energy of the Sangha. We get in touch with our body. We get in touch with our feeling, with our mind. So it's much more interesting to interact with human, real human. Than and this afternoon we will have Dharma sharing. I find that the Dharma sharing is very uplifting. Because in the spirit of deep listening and mindful speech, we can really, really heal and inspire each other. Anyway, I don't have a lot of time. The second thing they talk about is the desire for achievement as human. So we should not overlook these two things. Of course, there's many other things. So in terms of achievement, what do you think of when you think of achievement? To become a famous person? To become big influencers with millions of people follow you? Or to become a teacher who can help so many young kids come from broken family, who know what is a family in the classroom. Or you want to become a social worker who can listen hours and hours to the abused young people or couples, spouse. For me, in terms of achievement, when I think of achievement, I think of the impact. I think in many Dharma sharing we talk about this, the impact that we can have in society as a community. What impact do we want to have? So this is a kind of topic for Dharma sharing this afternoon. I have about 7 more minutes to end, and I'm only half of what I want to say. So let me squeeze in 7 minutes what I want to say for the second half. In this winter retreat, we listened to Thay's teaching. Are we a soulmate of the Buddha? And the last talk, I forget the date, they talk about Nirvana. Nirvana is in the state of free of affliction. And affliction here, so we have 2 kinds of afflictions. It's mental afflictions, and knowledge is obstacle. It is another kind of affliction. And he's very humorous. He say, when you go to Plum Village, what do you bring home? Do you remember? If you just come this week, you didn't listen to that talk. He say, when you go to Plum Village, you bring Nirvana home. Because Nirvana is in the state of free of afflictions. There's 2 kinds of affliction I just mentioned. But for me, I think I'm a little bit more more to my level. I would say afflictions is something that we are learning to recognize, and we are learning to deal with these afflictions. And funny enough, when I put in affliction, mental affliction, I ask AI, and I have a list of mental afflictions. It is anxiety disorders, generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder, social anxiety disorder, mood disorders, depression, bipolar disorder, acute stress disorder, eating disorders, personality disorders, psychotic disorders. I don't think the translator can follow me. but basically, it's a mental mental afflictions. This is a mental affliction of our modern time. And we really see and we witness the suffering of people with these mental afflictions, mental health. Now we call it a mental health. Yeah? But coming back as a human, our afflictions, it can be as small as a jealousy, what else we can think of? Fear. Anxiety. Yeah, anxiety is here. Fear. Jealousy. Anger. Loneliness. Comparison. Judgment. So when we talk about Nirvana, it's not something that is up in the sky. But Nirvana is that when we can experience, we can taste Nirvana, when we can free ourselves from our mental afflictions. First, it have to be the mental state of mind that we just mentioned. Jealousy, fear, judgment, discrimination. These things that we can work on the daily basis. And the inertia of drifting, floating, will carry us away from our mental state of mind. We will not be able to recognize this mental state of mind. These are mental afflictions. So we are not able to taste what is the joy of being free from anger, being free from jealousy. Yeah? And these feelings that we experience from transforming our mental afflictions, that it can very, very uplifting, it can be very healing, it can be very inspiring to many of us. And so today we learn about the inertia of habit. And the practice of stopping, the practice of looking deeply, I think it can liberate us from these mental afflictions. And so for me, I would think of Nirvana is the state of being free from these mental afflictions. And so going to Plum Village, we can bring back, it's a kind of pill, That's not available yet on the market. This is called anti-afflictions. Yeah? We have anti-depression. We have anxiety. Yeah, we have all these kind of pills, but somehow we don't have anti-affliction yet. Yeah, and if we can generate this pill and we can sell to others, we can become very rich. This is a kind of pill that we really need. And collectively, if we can generate this pill, we will have a great impact on personal level, on our family level, on our community level, and in society level. And so, Nirvana is not something that we can get to after 30 years or 50 years of practice. But it can happen when we do walking meditation after this Dharma talk. Yeah? When we recognize the habit of lingering, of drifting, of floating, and we can apply this stopping, this break to bring our mind back to our body and to contribute our energy to the pool of energy of the Sangha. So collectively, we can heal ourselves together, utilize the collective energy of the Sangha to help us. And that's how when we walk without mental afflictions, it's Nirvana. It can be for 10 seconds, it can be 2 minutes, it can be half an hour. But every 10 seconds, every 1 minute a day, it counts. When we put together, it can have few minutes of Nirvana. I don't think I have enough time to go to the last part, but listening to Thay's teaching this winter, it makes me feel that I really, really miss Thay. I think this is the first time I say that I really miss Thay. Not his physical body, but his thundering insight, that it can shake me, can wake me up from my inertia of drifting, of floating. Listening to his Dharma talks, the series of talks, it's so profound, but at the same time so applicable to our daily life. Somehow, many times I heard about Nirvana, many times in the past. But this time, this winter, just 2 weeks ago, I listened and he talked about Nirvana. He talked about remaining dependencies, Nirvana, and Nirvana without remainders. That means when we still have some kind of residues or conditions left, or when we completely extinguish the fire of mental afflictions, stop the cessation of the suffering. It clicked to me for the first time that as long as I can change my inertia of drifting, but come back and to be with the Sangha, then I can really experience Nirvana. Maybe a few moments each step, and then I drift away, but then I come back again. This is a kind of right effort. One of the young sisters asked me to talk about right effort. The right effort of coming back, of not drifting. And it's so easy to do it with the Sangha. Because when we are on our own, we can drift for hours without recognizing it. But with the Sangha, we are reminded. And then some of us say, we soon will run out of job because AI will take our job. People will not come and ask us for consultation. They will go and ask AI. And I thought about this. I thought we will never run out of job, because human with mental afflictions is something that we can work on for the rest of our life, for whole of our life. And so we will never run out of job.